Salutations, everyone. I'm back once again. Yeah, I just wanted to come back on real quickly. I wanted to kind of just give my little unpopular opinion about the whole um, feud between Stephen A. Smith and Jasmine Crockett. And I'm not a political person. I'm not the most intellectual person when it comes to this topic or this type of subject. So please bear with me. I'm letting you know now, but I just kind of want to kind of specify what resonates with me on this, because I know Stephen A. Smith, everyone loves to hate him. He's a controversial figure, and he speaks very loudly and passionately about certain things that we may not agree with all the time. But in my opinion, yes, I don't really, I'm not a follower of Stephen A. Smith like that. I am aware of his style, and I'm aware of how he maintains a stance on certain things, and it doesn't sit well with everyone. I get it, but to be honest with you, he is not always wrong. In this particular perspective on Jasmine Crockett, I don't think he was totally wrong with what he said. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I'm saying that out my mouth. And I have nothing against Jasmine Crockett, but I feel like she has been making headlines for the wrong things, especially the way she expresses herself on these different spaces in a political aspect, even when it comes to Trump. And I do understand why people may make her feel more empowered when she speaks on Trump in a certain way. But you don't want that to be your overall focus, especially when you're running for office or in office and you're representing your people. You want to focus more on your stance on um, what you plan to do, um, what steps you what um, how you plan on tackling certain things when you're in office. And I do understand you challenging Trump on certain things or certain matters, but you know sometimes your messages are not always received. And I think that Stephen A. Smith was just giving her his take on how she needs to approach things differently. Now, maybe because he was strong in his stance, and a lot of people felt that that was a form of disrespect towards the black woman. I wonder if Jasmine Crockett was James Crockett. I wonder if that would be if that people would have such outrage about it. I wonder if Jasmine was a black man or a man. Period. Would there have been such a stigma against Stephen A. Smith about him expressing his views on how she conducts herself in these public spaces, right? So so a lot of people, D.L. Hughley, Willie D, Ricky Smiley, a lot of people came on platforms to discuss how Stephen A. Smith was disrespectful towards the black woman overall. The just her as a black woman, because it's a difference between being disrespectful towards a black woman versus black women in general. He was disrespectful towards black women in general, but he made his point about Jasmine Crockett's behavior and conduct, and he has the right to speak on that. You know, I don't see anything wrong with what he said, honestly. And I know people are gonna probably condemn me. And look, I'm open to receiving your honest, respectful perspective on this. But just like I said, just respect the fact that people are gonna have a difference of opinion. People have a different opinion about certain things, certain matters. And I think that it all goes back into not just with Stephen A. Smith, but just people in general, how black women are supposed to be put on this pedestal. And I do understand that. I mean, there's some black women who do need to be respected, and there's some that don't deserve respect. There's some that don't deserve it because it seemed like um, when Jasmine Crockett speaks on certain things, or she tends to make headlines for the wrong reasons. And I think Stephen A. Smith was just saying, make headlines for the right reasons, make headlines outlining your true purpose, make more headlines and be more viral about your stance in this political front, but not you calling someone bad, built, blonde, bimbo, whatever, or just um, being this loud, um, strong black woman type of thing. Like, we just want to maintain your public persona in a more positive way. And I think that's what he was getting at. So, and it's the thing about when a lot of men come on here and they express their true, honest feelings about how black women conduct themselves in a negative way. Why would you take it as disrespect? I think that we gotta get out your feelings when it comes to how black women, and I'm being a black woman myself. I'm not bashing black women. I'm not bashing. I'm not bashing. I'm sorry. I'm just, as a black woman, I'm calling y'all out for y'all BS, because we tend to want to avoid accountability. You know, we tend to dance around accountability a lot. And I'm not saying that men don't. Men. I'm not saying that men are not guilty of this either. But we as women, we there's some double standards that need to be acknowledged. You know, because these same people that come on these platforms to speak on how Stephen A. Smith addressed this black woman, they were the main ones that were disrespectful or um, mistreated their black women. Dale Hughley cheated on his wife throughout their whole marriage. I mean, cheated on her left and right and had a side baby in the process. And was proud, not, I don't say he was proud of it, but it seemed like he was just like, I don't know if he felt accountable for that, but was that respectful? You know, was that empowering towards your wife? You know, um, Willie D, when he was one of the members of the legendary Ghetto Boys. And so let's go back to his catalog, shall we? Was his lyrics totally respectful towards black women? No. I mean, Ricky Smiley, I mean, he has children out of wedlock from different women. I mean, he just recently had twins that he didn't know about, or, I don't know, like the backstory on that. But the bottom line is that a lot of these people, Charlemagne, oh, God, don't get me started. Yeah, we know about your history with women and how you were philandering on your wife, and um, how disrespectful you were towards women throughout your radio career, throughout your career in media. So it's just right, I understand your message behind, you wanting these women, in certain space to be respected, but you're gonna have to practice what you preach a little bit, okay? And no, and people could evolve. I mean, there might be certain people that the names that I mentioned that may have done certain things in the past, and they could grow from that. But the bottom line is that the hypocrisy needs to stop. I think the double standards need to be acknowledged. And Stephen A. Smith should never have apologized, because that just made to me, that made matters worse. If you're going to maintain a stance on something, and just because you get backlash, or just because you have people that are going to, people has been dragging Stephen A. Smith for years. He's been on air, he's been in media for a very long time, and they drag him left and right. But for him to just kind of double back and apologize, to me, I don't think that was something he should have done. That's just my opinion. I don't think he should have apologized at all. Um, even if your stance or your position is not conducive to what other people may view, or they may view you a certain way, in order for you to maintain your stance, in order for you to maintain your position, in order for certain aspects of your statement about Jasmine Crockett to be received, even by Jasmine Crockett herself, you should have just stood on it, but just apologize and just defeat the purpose of it, defeated the whole entire purpose of what you stood on in the first place. That's just my take on it. But I just feel like, Jasmine Crockett needs to um, just take it. And, like, I mean, trust me, I understand the truth is not always received well. We don't always like to hear it, or we can't handle it when it comes at us. But I think that I hope that Miss Crockett will kind of receive some of what we were saying and just take it as a teachable moment, as a lesson, as a form of advice, because he mentioned in his initial statement, he mentioned how brilliant she was. He acknowledged her overall stance and her position as far as what her true purpose is and what she is trying to relate to the public. He acknowledged all of that, but we just kind of want to cherry pick on other matters, you know, because we understand why she's angry at Trump. We all are. We get it. We get your stance against Donald Trump, because I know that it was said about the way way she speaks, the way she delivers her messages, and Donald Trump is no different. Yes, we get it. Yes, he can be an asshole, but you don't have to stoop down to that asshole's level. Okay, it's just a matter of just relaying your stance to the public in a way that is more intelligent and more effective. You know. So, I mean, that's just my stance. Like I said, what do I know? I know people might call, may say that I'm slow and dumb, whatever. But that is my unpopular opinion on um, the Jasmine Crockett and Stephen A. Smith thing. And I also wanted to, kind of add my take on the Kevin McCall situation. His beef with Chris Brown resurfaced because he went on the platform to discuss his current financial situation in regards to him using EBT, which is food stamps, um, and how he is experiencing um, a financial turmoil right now because he still hasn't received what was owed to him for all of the projects that he's written on for Chris Brown and for other artists. But he singled out Chris Brown, saying that Chris Brown still owes him. He broke down and cried about him using EBT. I wish I was using EBT, by the way, but that's either here or there. But if you go back to Kevin McCall's history of abuse and burning bridges, he admitted to blowing $8 million. He admitted to blowing large sums of money throughout the years um, of his prime, and when he was really in his prime in his career. Because I gotta, really, want to put out there that despite everything, Kevin McCall is a talented he's very talented. I'm not gonna take that from him, but at the end of the day, you have to sit in this. You have to allow people to suffer the consequences that was brought onto them, that they had coming. And there's nothing wrong with having some type of support from people, because the hosts of the podcast that he was on, they poured into him and they was comforting him when he broke down, and I see nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, you have to allow people to lay in the bed that they made, and he made his bed hard and he has to lie in it, between the the bridges that he burned in his career, all of the irresponsible financial decisions that he made, the abuse towards women. And just in case people don't know, that he is the father of the biological father of Eva Marcel's daughter Marley, who was adopted by her current husband Michael Sterling. And he mentioned about how I think he was saying he was trying to get his rights back because his rights was taken. No, you gave him away. You gave away your rights, your parental rights, because you wanted to act a fool in court. You wanted to get into fights with the officers. You didn't want to comply. You did not put in the effort to want to maintain a relationship with your daughter. You even said on social media several times that you didn't want nothing to do with your daughter. In hindsight, if you go back to some of the posts, I don't know if they deleted or not, but some of the blogs that posted or covered that story about him not wanting nothing to do with the daughter, and basically saying that her husband could have him. So let's just put that out there. These are this is what accountability looks like. This is what suffering consequences of your actions look like. You may not like to see them down. You may not like to, like what it's doing to them, but you have to allow them to do that because they're not your assignment at the end of the day. These are all adults here that made adult decisions and suffering adult consequences. So as far as he saying, talking about him sleep on his grandmother's couch and not being financially stable right now, that's basically what happens. That's the outcome of your being irresponsible, arrogant, obnoxious, abusive individual that you were at the time. That's that is usually the outcome of that. Your actions, and it's all of us. Our actions lead to consequences, good or bad. Our actions lead to consequences. These are your consequences. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of add my little take on those stories because, like I said before, I was told you I was going to come back, here and there, um, to add my perspective on some stuff. So, like I said, please thumbs up the video. If you want to thumbs down this video because you ain't like what I had to say, that's fine too. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share, and comment. And please make sure that you tune in this tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, where I interview with O'Neill TV. I'm looking forward to that. So please make sure that you stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, until we meet again, have a good one.